All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our last demo of the morning. We are doing just a standard basil pesto on this one. Just as a rehash, at 9 a.m. we did a strawberry balsamic pesto, and we did a arugula, kale, and green onion pesto at 10. Those are both over here for samples. We have some bread, true sourdough bread still from Rice Bakehouse right over there. Unfortunately, the basil did not come from the farmers market today, but it's something that you can get sometimes locally at Logan County Farmers Market or other farmers markets, depending on the growing seasons. And one thing I'd like to say about the growing season this year is it's been a little hard for some farmers to get things planted with all the rain, or to get their growing process as well, as it's been so underwater, as we all know how that flood was just recently. So my heart goes out to them, and I'm just curious to see how our markets are going to be come summer. I'm just hoping that they're able to pull this off, and I'm sure they have a lot of work ahead of them, so my hat goes off to them. As we get started, like I said, we're just doing a standard basil pesto. Our ingredient sets today is olive oil, salt, black pepper. From what I'm told, it's Boken Gahalis cheese, which is a creek. Blue Jacket likes to name a lot of the cheese after creeks and different places like that. So it's a creek, I believe, that pours into the Miami Valley. We have garlic, pine nuts, and basil. And so something that I mentioned in our last demos is something like strawberry. The yields on that is a lot more watery, so you don't need to use as much of your liquids as you would as using like herbs or greens. So you'll find that you have to use a lot more olive oil or whatever you're using to make your pestos. Another thing I didn't mention in the past ones, but if you're trying to make something that's a little bit more healthier, what you can do is you can supplement something like chicken stock in place of some of your oil. I would still definitely recommend using some oil, but that definitely will make it healthier, as there's not as much fat in that. That being said, we're just going to pick as much of the basil leaves off as we can and start making this. So in our recipe, we're going to use 4 cloves of garlic, and it just depends on your size, really, how much you're going to use. But all of these recipes that we have done today, the yields are roughly 2 cups, give or take a little bit. We're using about 6 ounces of basil with the stems on, so after trim it's a little bit less. And we're going to incorporate about 10 to 12 fluid ounces of olive oil, salt and pepper to taste, and roughly about 6 ounces of that Boken Gahalis cheese, and 4 ounces of pine nuts. If you are not a fan of pine nuts, or you want to go on the cheaper spectrum, pine nuts can be kind of pricey, and I know if you go to Kroger or Walmart, you might not be able to find them in the pound varieties like we can walnuts and stuff, but you can supplement any different style like pecan, if that's your flavor preference. It really doesn't matter. In the previous pestos, in the arugula one, we did a pecan, and in the strawberry one, we chose to do walnut. And as I said earlier in some of the other demos, strawberry is getting out of season. We were grateful enough to be able to get some from Wenger's Produce. I know they're getting right towards the end of their season, but as they get into other seasons, I believe raspberry may be coming up, you can definitely change those. And that recipe was just balsamic, strawberry, the same cheese, walnuts, salt, pepper, olive oil, and if the berries that you use are not sweet enough, or you like a sweeter flavor, you can always add a little bit of sugar or honey into it. We did not for this recipe, but it's just really up to your flavor palette. I really prefer a blueberry pesto. Goes really good with chicken, brie cheese, arugula. And that would be delicious on a salad. But yeah, just start out with doing something fun. I think most people have really enjoyed the flavor on that, or it's just great with bread. So traditionally, a lot of pestos, that's what they do, is it's a dip, maybe alongside some balsamic, olive oil, pine nuts in a dish, or a lot of times it goes over a pasta. But another thing that has become more trendy, in the past, I guess when you go to the supermarket 10, 15 years ago, when I think pesto started showing up more regularly, even at Kroger and stuff like that, you'd see a basil pesto, you'd see a sun-dried tomato pesto, you might see a roasted red pepper pesto. But what's becoming more trendy is just kind of putting different herbs and different things in it. And I know another one that I've seen a lot is what they'll do is supplement something like kale in as well as the basil, just to bring out the basil flavor, but have something else as a base, which kind of cuts down on your cost a little bit, instead of using straight herbs, as herbs can be pretty pricey unless you grow them yourselves. So I've seen that a lot more prevalently in markets. And kind of joked about bringing my mortar and pestle from home. That more is just I use it for serving apparatus more than anything. I don't really use it very much. But if you wanted to do this the old school way, get one of those and just kind of go to town on it for 30 or 40 minutes, and you're going to end up with the same product. Or just go, to your local supermarket and buy yourself a nice food processor if you don't have one, and let that do the job, and let that be the rock star of the prep on this. My favorite, probably with this particular pesto, is to make like a focaccia style bread. And I like to do like caramelized onions, some type of cheese like pecorino romano, crushed red peppers, salt, rosemary, or just using any type of accent herb would be good. And dipping that with that. So we're just putting a little bit of salt in here. We'll add more to taste if we need it. A little bit of black pepper. Put all the pine nuts in there. And these are each about 6 fluid ounces of olive oil. And I find that when you make a fresh pesto, if you keep that in your fridge, a lot of times 2 or 3 days later, you're going to find that it's very thick, and if you put a little bit more olive oil into it and reincorporate it, it definitely helps because it absorbs it so well. So really, what you start with, 10 to 12 ounces, you might end up with 16 by the end. Unless you eat it on the first day, I recommend it. Let that go as we get our cheese going. And the cheese is really up to preference too. If you're trying to go healthier, you can always dial it back a little bit, but I find cheese is what gives this the best flavor, so I prefer not to. So I would recommend on the healthier spectrum doing that chicken stock variation with olive oil, if anything. But it's definitely an option. Another thing you can do, citrus, lemon, lime, something like that. Definitely kind of brings out a little bit of flavor, very, very, very sparingly, not a lot of it in there, but it definitely helps bring out the natural flavors that are already in there. We're not doing that today, but if you want to go that route, definitely great. Too much and you're working more into like a chimichurri style sauce. Granted, chimichurri is not really basil, it's more like oregano, cilantro, parsley, but that lime focus, orange juice, lime, lemon, vinegar. Still a herb-based sauce, but very good with Hispanic-style dishes. This is getting a lot softer. Let's pull out a few pieces. It's pretty good. All right. And in terms of traditional pestos, that's about as traditional as you get. Other than they might use like a Parmigiano Reggiano or something like that, but we just wanted to keep it local with the cheeses that we chose to use. If you guys would like to come over here and sample some, we have, again, our bread is from Rise Bakehouse. This is a true sourdough that we're working with right now. And feel free to try the ones that we made earlier in the day. I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, thank everybody for coming out to the market today. I know that our local farmers and everybody really appreciates the support, and just wanted to demonstrate a few things that we can do with some local produce, and our focus was on pestos today. If you guys would like to check out future demos, we have one in July and one in August that I know is posted over here on the board, and we're going to be doing some other fun things, and we look forward to seeing you guys out here. We also have our farm to table dinner that's going to be coming up. We have some flyers out here if anybody would like to check that out. If you'd like to purchase that, look at the menu. It's on Facebook or Eventbrite. That's how you can purchase it. And we definitely would look forward to looking and seeing you guys out there. Half of our proceeds to that goes straight back to the farmers market. So we would really appreciate that, and I know they would too. Thanks, have a good day, and hopefully we can enjoy a little bit better weather than all the rain we've had lately.